Hey everyone, we're going to be doing some operations on polynomials, which is adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. So I'm going to skip number 1 for the moment because that's one of our, probably the most challenging problem that I have to offer you today. So anytime you have a quantity or a set of parentheses, separate it with either a plus or a minus, you're just simply either adding or subtracting. So for this very first problem, I like to stack mine. So what I do is I'll take my first quantity and I'll just remove the parentheses. So we have 4x to the third. So I would just, let's grab my pen. So I'm just writing 4x to the third plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 14. Okay, so you copy the first quantity, and then underneath this, you're going to put your like terms. So you're going to take the second quantity, and you're going to put the x thirds under the x thirds, the x squareds under x squareds, etc. Okay, so the first term you have there is 6x to the third, so you put that under 4x to the third because they're like terms. Minus 7x squared will go under this 3x squared. 7x will go under 4x. And minus 17 will go under 14. Okay, there are like terms. All you have to do now is add or subtract the numbers out in front, depending on the sign that's in front of the numbers. So you have 4 plus 6, which gives you 10. You keep x to the third. That's supposed to be a 3. There we go. And I have 3 minus 7, so that's negative 4. You keep x to the second. Negative 4 plus 7 is 3. And negative 14 minus 17 is negative 31. And so that matches our answer. Wait, let me see that. Okay. So that matches C. Okay. So when there's a plus sign in the middle, it's as simple as that. So I'm going to skip this one. Okay, it gets a little bit trickier when there's a subtraction sign in between the two quantities. When there's a minus sign, that tells you that you have to distribute by -1 through the quantity that the negative is in front of. So basically what you have to do is you keep the signs of the first quantity, but in the second quantity, you're going to change every single sign. So in this quantity, you're going to change every single sign. So all I'm doing, I'm going to draw a line. I'm looking, where I drew my line, I'm looking to the right of it, okay? So I'm only looking inside of the parentheses. So inside of the parentheses, 7 is positive. So the opposite of positive 7x to the second is negative. The opposite of plus 5x is negative 5x. And the opposite of minus 7 is plus 7. Okay. Once I've changed all of my signs or distributed by -1, I'm going to change this minus sign to a plus. Because as soon as you change your signs, there's no difference between this problem and the one that we just did above. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to write my 12x to the third minus 2. Okay? Then you're going to take your second quantity and you're going to write like terms underneath like terms. So negative 7x squared, if you look here, I don't have a like term. So I'm just going to write it off to the side. Okay. Negative 5x, again, there's no like terms in the top, so I'm going to write that off to the side. And plus 7, the like term is, the like term there is 2, or -2. So I'm going to write plus 7 underneath my minus 2. zoom out a little bit. Okay. Now you're combining your like terms. So you're going to bring down everything that doesn't have a partner. So I'm bringing down my 12x to the third. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. Negative 7x to the second doesn't have a partner. And negative 5x doesn't either. So minus 5x. Oops. For any of these questions, when they're multiple choice especially, you're going to want to put your terms in descending order. So that goes by your exponents. So if it has a variable, it has an exponent. And you're going to go from big exponent to small exponent. So I'm going to start with 12x to the third, because that's my biggest. 3 is my biggest exponent. Then I'm going to write negative 7x to the second, because 2 is my next biggest. Then minus 5x, because that's my next biggest. And then that plus 5, there is no variable, therefore there is no exponent besides 0 there. So your answer there is going to be C. Oopsies. That's so ugly, I'm sorry. Let's zoom in. Why do I keep on doing that? I'm sorry. So let's zoom in and choose our answer nicely. Okay. So let's move along. All right, you're going to be given some word problems. This one says a rectangular garden has a length of 3x plus 30 and a width of x plus 20 units. The garden also consists of a walkway which has an area of 2x squared, or of x squared, I'm sorry, plus 30x plus 200 square units. Complete the polynomial expression that represents the total planting area of the garden. Okay, so, oh, I don't have much room to draw a picture. So I'm going to come back to 5, though, because in order to do number 5, we have to know what we're doing in number 6. Number 6 is a FOIL problem, or you could distribute. If you have 2 binomials next to 2 binomials, that's a quantity with 2 terms, you're going to FOIL, especially if there's, you know this because there's no sign in the middle. Okay? If there's nothing separating this quantity from this quantity, besides a parenthesis, you're multiplying. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the first term in the first quantity, which is 12m, and you're going to multiply it with both terms in the second quantity. So you have 12m times 4m, so 12 times 4, you multiply the big numbers, which is 48, and you keep the base. If it's the same, you add the exponent. So it is m times m is m to the second. Then I have 12m times 12n. So 12 times 12 is 144. M times n is just m n. Okay, we can't change our, we can't add the exponents there because they're different bases. Once you're done with the 12m, once it multiplied by 2 of those, you're going to go on to this negative 4n. So negative 4n times 4m, negative 4 times positive 4 is negative 16. Now you have an n and then an m, but write them alphabetically, just so you can notice the like terms easier. So 144mn and negative 16mn, they're like terms. They have the same variables. Even if I wrote negative 16nm, they'd still be like terms because they still have the same variables. All right. I just write them in alphabetical order just so it's easier for you to see that they're like terms. All right. Now negative 4n times 12n. Negative 4 times positive 12 is negative 48. And then you have n times n, which is n to the second power. All right. Most of the time when you're foiling, Your like terms are going to be found in the middle. So they are. So you bring down your 48 m to the second. You have 144 minus 16, which will give me 128 mn minus 48 n squared. I'm going to write that down here because I don't have enough room. I'm sorry. Okay, and we can find our answer right over here as D. That's the same kind of word problem, I think. It's a subtraction. Okay, anytime you have a quantity to the second power, that just means you're going to take that quantity and write it twice. And then once you do that, you FOIL it like usual. Okay. All right. Number 10 is just like number 1, so let's do that, and then I'll go back to the word problem. So this is a binomial times a trinomial. There's 2 terms times 3 terms. So you're going to essentially do the same thing. You're going to take that first term in the first parenthesis and multiply it with all 3 in the second. So you're going to take your 4x times 8x squared, 4x times 8x, and 4x times negative 2. So let me do that over here. 4x times 8x squared is 32x to the third, because you have to add those exponents. 4x times 8x is 32x to the second. I have to move over. And then 4x times negative 2 is negative 8. Don't forget about x. All right. Once you multiply 4x with everything in the second quantity, you're done with 4x. Move on to 9. So you do 9 times everything over here. So when I multiply, I'm going to write the answers underneath the like terms, or the product underneath the like terms. So when I do 9 times 8x squared, I get 72x squared. So I'm going to write 72x squared underneath 32x squared. Okay. And then I have 9 times 8x, which gives me 72x. So 72x should go under that negative 8x. And finally, 9 times negative 2 is negative 18, which will go over here by itself because he doesn't have any like terms. The next step is just to combine like terms. So you have 32x squared, or x to the third, I'm sorry. 32 plus 72 is 104 x squared. Negative 8 plus 72 is 64. Ooh, sorry. And then this negative 18 will come down here. So that's 32x to the third plus 104x to the second plus 64x minus 18, which matches up with D. All right, and finally, let's come back up here to this word problem that I read before. I don't have enough space for this, so you're going to have to bear with me here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to think about this garden. So you have a rectangular garden, and it also has a walkway. So you got this thing going on, but you also have a walkway in there. So this is the walkway. Okay. So I'm going to pretend it's like a sidewalk around it. It doesn't really say. But it tells us that the area of the it gives us the area of the walkway, which is right here. Okay. We need to know the total planting area. So you obviously can't plant on the walkway. You could just plant in the grass. So they give us the area of the entire thing. or the dimensions of the entire thing. They tell us that the length is 3x plus 30, and the width is x plus 20. So to find the area of the whole thing, you need to FOIL those two. So you would need to, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have enough room. You're going to need to FOIL, I'm going to change the color here, just so. You would need to do 3x plus 30 times x plus 20. And you'd have to FOIL that, okay? Once you FOIL that, you're going to get, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 terms. Actually, if you FOIL that the right way, I'm going to erase this bottom part here so I have room to work with. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, once you FOIL this, I'm going to pretend that you did it on your own. You will get 3x squared outside is 60x, inside is 30x, and 60 plus 30 is 90x. And then your last 30 times 20, you should get 600. Ooh, I don't have room. Okay. So you take the entire area and you're going to subtract from that x squared plus 30x plus 200. And when you're subtracting quantities, you're changing the signs. So instead of that being being x squared plus 30x plus 200, you actually have negative x squared minus 30x minus 200. I'm skipping that little step, okay? Just because I don't have enough room and I don't want to make this video crazy long for you. So you have this 3x squared plus 90x plus 600 minus x squared minus 30x minus 200. So 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. 90 minus 30 is 60. And 600 minus 200 is 400. And then you would just enter the answers in there. I hope this was kind of helpful for you. Good luck on your work. If you have any questions, please ask.